Alright, the idea behind this character is to have a highly mobile tank who can manipulate both enemies and allies. This is the Battle Armorer. This video is brought to you by our very community. This video is the brainchild of one of our longest term patrons, Fledgling. So, Fledgling, thank you for the great idea. Here we go. For our lineage, we're going to go Githzerai. This is for two reasons. First is we get some great spells. We get Mage Hand, we get Detect Thoughts, but most importantly, we get Shield. Then on top of that, we're going to have basically advantage on Charmed and Frightened saves, which is a lot of Wisdom saves. So we're going to get a Wisdom save buff, is another way to think about it. So we're doing two things that Artificers already do extremely well, which is have a great AC and have great saves, and we're just taking it a level higher by going Githzerai. And it's a good thing we're going to have that Wisdom save help, because when we jump into our stats, we're going to have a primary in Intelligence, we're going to have a secondary in Constitution, we're going to have tertiary in Strength. Anything left over we can throw in Wisdom, but clearly it's not going to be the highest stat ever. For our leveling structure, we're going to be going 5 levels into Armorer Artificer, 3 into Battlesmith Fighter, 3 or 4, and then we're going to be jumping back into Armorer Artificer for the rest of our career. Looking at our first 2 levels, they are going to be playing out like a normal Artificer. We're not going to be getting our armor online until level 3, so our playstyle really doesn't come online until level 3. We can't be a frontline fighter until then. We're going to be too squishy with no real tools. So grab Firebolt, keep range, and keep alive, most importantly. In that second level, let's grab Mind Sharpener, and let's grab Enhanced Defense. So we're focusing on both our concentration and our survivability. Once we hit that third level, we're going to pick up Heavy Armor. We're going to go get in the front line and start punching people with our Thunder Gauntlets. We're also going to make a switch to our infusions here. We're going to go ahead and switch our Mind Sharpener over to our Enhanced Weapon. This is going to allow us to output more damage more consistently, and more importantly, mark our enemies more consistently. When the Armorer Artificer punches somebody in the face with their Thunder Gauntlets, they give them disadvantage on attacking anyone else besides themselves, which is probably the most important thing we're going to be doing every single turn. Fourth level, we have a choice. We can either do an Intelligence bump, which is just going to be solid with this build across the board, or we can take Sentinel. Sentinel can help us get some extra attacks in there and spread the Thunder Gauntlet love around, especially because we're going to be close to our allies. Still, I lean Intelligence because it's just extremely good on an Artificer package. At 5th level, we're picking up 2nd level spells, most notable of which is Web, which is going to be great against groups of enemies. Then we're going to pick up Extra Attack, which is fantastic on the Armorer chassis because now we can mark 2 enemies per turn instead of 1. Level 6, we're getting Fighter, and we're going to pick up Superior Technique for our fighting style. This is going to allow us to pick up Bait and Switch. Bait and Switch is going to be amazing on this build because we're going to swap out an ally, basically giving them a free disengage and then buffing our AC, so we're going to have absolutely insane AC to take any clapback that can come at us. This is a great way to protect our allies and a great use of a maneuver die. Level 7, we get Action Surge. Action Surge is going to be best used when we miss our attacks, so we don't mark anyone. Then we can Action Surge to make sure we mark someone who really needs to be marked. Our playstyle is largely going to be choosing the biggest, baddest attacking enemy, go ahead and go mano-a-mano with them. After we hit them, we can spread out our damage and spread out those marks, but we got to make sure we hit that one big bad enemy every single turn. Level 8, we're going into Battlemaster Fighter. We're going to pick up some new maneuvers. One of the most interesting ones, if it works, is Sweeping Attack. Sweeping Attack allows us to hit multiple people with one attack, which if your DM allows can do multiple marks on multiple different enemies. This makes you kind of have an AoE marking debuff to enemies and can kind of use your Thunder Gauntlets into crowds. Now it's up to DM interpretation, but it could be fantastic. Precision is a great way to make sure that we are extremely consistent with getting off marks as often as needed, and maneuvering allows us to basically give our allies free disengages even if we're not close to them, so it's kind of like a long-ranged option of Bait and Swish with some debuffs. But this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot we can do here. Taking something even like lunging just to get that extra reach to make sure that we can hit an enemy that's further from us to mark them is another option. Other ones to consider might be Brace and Tactical Assessment. We can either take a 4th level in Fighter to grab an extra bump in Intelligence, which we have that option at any time, so just make that choice when you're not excited about your next Artificer level. But from here, we can go back into Artificer. When we go back into Artificer, we're going to be getting Artificer 6, which is Tool Expertise, which isn't very exciting. However, we do get an extra infusion slot that we can use, so we can put back on Mind Sharpener. Now, a note here is if we have Mind Sharpener, we have proficiency in Constitution saving throws, we're going to have a absolutely fantastic concentration save. This mixes really well with Blur. So Blur isn't a spell I'd recommend to many characters, but this is one I would. Keep in mind what Blur is going to do is make everyone have disadvantage against attacking you. So they're going to have disadvantage against attacking everyone, which is pretty powerful, but keep in mind it's going to make them less likely to actually attack you and more likely to attack your allies. So it can be extremely powerful, just makes your whole team incredibly tanky, but it can also be a little bit risky if you have some teammates that are pretty dang squishy, even with disadvantage attacking them. From here, we're going to want to max out our intelligence. Then we have a choice of either going into feats or maxing out constitution afterwards. We can get pretty dang tanky. We're going to keep going into artificer, maybe picking up one more level into fighter. As we keep going into artificer, we're going to give our whole team incredible saves, so we increase our tankiness on both fronts, and we're just going to be a one-man tanking army. We mix in our spells to help with crowds or to help increase that tankiness, and it just gets to another level entirely. When it comes to ranged combat, we're going to lean on Firebolt and our spells. Simple as that. We're not going to be fantastic at it, but hey, we have options. The main weakness of this build is simply going to be our damage output. We're really relying on our teammates to help us hit damage thresholds. We're not doing it ourselves. And with that, my friends, that is the Battle Armorer. What would you guys do with your mix of armor and battlesmith? Let me know in the comments down below. But with that, my friends, hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.